So for the past few months now, KSI has managed to remember where the millions in his bank came from. As a result, he's been posting daily on his second channel for quite a while now. I mean, if you ask me, daily doesn't sound like too much of a good idea. It's only a matter of time before he disappears for months on end again. But one thing that seems to come up pretty frequently is this movie from 2016. Now, I haven't seen this movie since it came out, and I remember enjoying it. However, from the year 2018 and backwards, I was a complete normie retard on just about everything. So I thought, why not just go back and give the movie another watch? To see if it's really as bad as I'm expecting, or if my past self was right in thinking that it's a funny, quality movie. And if it seems like I'm focusing on KSI a lot more in this video, it's mainly because I never really watched Casper Lee as much growing up. The only thing I really know him for are those pranks he used to do with Joe Sugg. Anyway, I need to start preparing for this movie because nothing can interrupt this theatrical experience, even though the movie never got a theatrical release. So it's technically not a theatrical experience. Gotta make sure to get myself a nice cold drink before starting the movie. And of course, you can't watch a movie without popcorn. Even though it's literally one of the worst things you could ever eat. So I guess the only thing to do now really is to just watch the movie. Okay, so get this. Laid in America is a movie about two virgins who want to get laid during their final night in America, because if you can't get laid in America, you can't get laid anywhere. That's a real quote from the movie. So before dissecting the actual movie, I just want to go through the characters, because when trying to make a comedy film, it's primarily the characters that are important. So firstly, we've got Duncan and Jack, who are two foreign exchange high school students. Duncan is British, and Jack is South African. At first I thought this was the movie trying to make a joke, but then I learned that Casper Lee is actually South African. Then there's Kaylee, who is a generic love interest for Jack that we learn nothing about and is never developed in any way throughout the film. And of course, you can't have a movie about high school without the generic jock bully character, but for some reason the movie decides that not only does he act like a massive dick to everyone, but he also is really liked by most people, even by the main characters.
And that's how it's done, bitches. Pussy ass dickhole.
Did you get invited to his pie?
No, did you?
No.
I like to think that maybe that's the point, and that the movie is trying to suggest that the main characters are so desperate to be popular that they overlook the flaws of people above them on the popularity scale because of the way in which they look up to them. But honestly, I think even suggesting that that might be the case is giving this movie too much credit. I'm just looking into this in more detail than even the writers themselves. This movie really likes to remind you that the two main characters are virgins, and that that is what the entire story of the film is about. Which is why the first character to be introduced to the film is an online sex coach. She's only in the film for the first scene and one of the last scenes of the movie. Obviously, we learn nothing about her character, and she's only in the film to introduce the themes of the movie at the beginning, and so that she can get with Duncan towards the end of the movie, because Duncan didn't get his own generic love interest for whatever reason. But then there's the most interesting characters of the movie, Goose and Amber. Goose is a fat loser who lives with his mum and uses his girlfriend for his own benefits. And Amber is an attractive female that uses her looks in order to seduce rich men so that she can drug them, kidnap them, and take them to Goose, who ties them up and threatens them until they give up everything that they have. And that's about all it really takes for these characters to be the best of the whole movie. And these two actors give two of the best performances in the movie as well. They're not perfect in any way, but if every character in the movie was as thought out as these two, and the acting of the movie was better overall, then I may not even be talking about this movie right now. Because although like everything else about the movie is bad, if they put the necessary time into developing the characters, there'd be a lot more to like about this movie. But of course this only really applies if the movie is actually funny, which it's not. So why do I even bother going through all this crap? So with the actual plot of the movie, there's not a lot that really happens, because a lot of the things that happen in this movie are just filler. So I'm just going to quickly go through the important bits, because there's a lot of things I could mention but don't really need to because they don't affect the story at all. So I'm just going to skip past things like that. So the first scene of the movie is just the two main characters in a video call with and the family that they're staying with just barge into the room to celebrate their final day in America. It's like the movie's not even trying to pretend to be subtle, they literally just have characters scream the entire premise of the movie to the audience.
Happy last day in America!
But then we cut to a pretty dragged out scene where the movie demonstrates how much of a dick this character is. I don't even know how to describe him. He's not much of a character, he's just designed to be hated by the audience.
Everyone, Tucker Jones on the mic. Today's lunch is meatloaf with mashed potatoes, and if you're a vegan for whatever stupid reason, it's salad.
Yeah, bro, fuck those who care about the well-being of animals. What a bunch of fucking idiots. I'm not even a vegetarian or anything. I just found the line to be a bit of an unnecessary dig. It wasn't even the least bit funny or creative in any way. So then Duncan and Jack are sent into the principal's office, and he's playing a VR game. Holy shit, this movie was actually made for 8-year-olds. How's he even controlling the game? He's not holding any controllers. But then eventually they start talking to the principal after he's finished with his VR game or whatever, and...
But what about the ladies? Did you get a chance to experience any American girls? No girls? Not even fat girls?
Nope.
You're a virgin too, aren't you, Jack? So you're telling me that we have 2 foreign boys who are both virgins?
What the fuck? What kind of a principal talks to their students like this? Having a scene about an old man talking to 2 teenagers in this way isn't funny on its own. Teenager in massive quotation marks, of course, because nobody in this movie looks like they're in high school. They all look like adults. When making a scene like this, you need to either put a lot of time and effort into making sure that the writing is natural sounding, yet still comedic, or you need to hire genuinely talented actors who can expand on the material beyond what you give them and actually make the scene work. You can't just put no effort into writing a scene, and then just expect 2 dipshits from YouTube to be able to make your scene work. Like, do you really think these guys would be able to add to the scene in any way? But then the next scene is about, KSI starts rapping, because get it, he's KSI, and KSI makes music. So we get this.
To all my haters, you can go and suck my balls!
Suck my balls! Like that.
You want me to sing it?
Yes, suck my balls!
Suck my balls!
Suck my balls!
Yeah, suck my balls.
Suck my
Isn't this funny?
balls.
So moving on, Duncan asks Tucker if he and Jack can go to his party. And so for whatever reason, Tucker decides that the only way they're getting an invite to the party is if they somehow manage to bring 2 hot girls with them that don't go to the same school as them. So Duncan and Jack go back to their... is it a house? It's never really explained. But then Duncan gets a call, and it's Deji! Before the thing happened. So Deji tells Freddy tells Duncan about a dating site called Blinder, an online blind dating site. This blind dating site is more of a plot convenience than the psychic paper from Doctor Who. They really just didn't give a shit when making this film, did they? But anyway, they find a date using the site and instantly get themselves kidnapped. Just showing how the site would never work in the real world and would be avoided by everyone with half a brain. Which is where we meet the best characters of the whole movie. However, I'm going to completely skip every scene that they're in, because they have no impact on the story and their characters are only there to fill time. So it's weird how they ended up being the best characters of the movie. Actually, there is one thing. Duncan steals Goose's watch in order to get into the party because he couldn't get the 2 girls like he promised he would. Jack just climbs through a window to get into the party though, so I don't see why Duncan didn't just do that as well. Why isn't anyone questioning why Jack's at the party though? Surely these people would know that he wasn't invited. So why are they not questioning how he got in or why he's there? But who cares? They both end up getting with a girl towards the end of the film. And then the next day they go to the airport for their flights back home, with the funniest scene from the whole movie, when they hug and walk in opposite directions all sad like. It's so stupid. If that's how you end your movie, you're clearly not a very creative person. At least in the field of film directing anyway. Alright, so admittedly it's been a couple of weeks now since I've recorded anything for this video. I've pretty much given up on it at this point, because you can only spend so much time thinking about this before you want to blow your own brains out. I wasn't actually expecting the movie to be quite as bad as it ended up being. I had this whole other section planned out where I was going to go through everything that makes up a movie and go through what works and what doesn't. But then that just turned into me explaining how everything in the movie is bad. So you're not really missing much by me not making that section anymore. Please ignore this fucked setup for this section of the video. I just didn't really have many options. But basically, when doing research for this video, I found that there are a surprising amount of people that think this is a 10 out of 10 perfect movie. I know at the start of this video I said that I enjoyed the movie when I first saw it, but that's not technically true, because I just wouldn't say I hated it like I should have when I first saw it. I didn't go online and start talking about how great of a movie it was, how it's a perfect 10 out of 10. Some of these reviews that people made on IMDb are so bizarre as well. They give the most stupid reasons for why they think this movie is a perfect 10 out of 10. So I just thought it would be fun to go through and highlight the flaws in most of these reviews. Alright, so this guy gave the movie a perfect 10 out of 10 and said, finally, a movie to rival Shawshank Redemption. Warning, spoilers, this movie has everything. British people. That warrants a 10 out of 10 if you ask me. Just include a British person and it's a perfect movie. Social commentary? What social commentary? How the two main characters just spend their entire lives trying to get laid? The movie says nothing about anything. What are you trying to say here? A hilarious pun for the title. It wasn't until the 5th viewing that my boys and I realised that Laid in America is a play on of Made in America. Wow, this just got a lot more sadder because I realised this isn't a 6-year-old saying this. This is a grown man who has children. If you think this movie is a 10 out of 10, you shouldn't be allowed to have children. Once we realised this, we blew our milkshakes out of our noses. Yeah, because it's such a hilarious joke. Get it? Made in America, laid in America? Isn't... Oh my fucking god. Is this review ironic? It has to be, right? Am I missing something? This must be ironic. Even the slogan, "You'll always remember your first time," that alone tells an infinite amount of stories, which shows how layered the film is. Alright, I'm not even going to finish reading that. You can if you want to, but I'm just going to hope that it's irony and move on. Alright, 2 more 10-star reviews. Let's see what they have to say about this movie. A decent movie for YouTubers. I mean, if you consider like Logan Paul's movies and that Lele Pons movie, I guess you have a point, but this was made in 2016, so those movies didn't exist back then. Casper Lee and KSI is funny in the way they act. I'm just gonna ignore the grammatical errors there and just point out the fact that no, they're not. I mean, they're supposed to be playing characters in a movie, but they both just act like themselves. That's not acting, that's just showing up to a set and doing what you're told, and putting no effort into it. The popularity of the movie was only carried by the main characters due to their popularity on YouTube. Yeah, that's literally the only reason they were cast for these roles. Because no one would watch this fucking movie if they weren't in it. It's a straight-to-DVD, shitty high school drama film with horrible acting and a story that doesn't make sense. Alright, this next person didn't even put a title, they just put "great" in all caps. This is a great movie if you're a KSI or Casper Lee fan. That's what makes the movie bad though, because it's not meant to be that. It's not a movie about KSI and Casper Lee, they're playing characters, but at no point in the movie does it feel like they're playing characters. By your own logic, you should be rating this a 1 out of 10, not a 10. It's a shame they're not making another one. Jesus Christ, I think I'd hang myself if they made another one. Okay, what the fuck is this? Somebody gave the movie a 10 out of 10, and then said, "Nicely done, KSI." You know he didn't direct the movie, right? He's just a cast member. This title suggests that the movie's only good because KSI's in it, but then at the same time you say how all the jokes in the movie are corny, but yet it's still a funny movie to watch. I don't think I've ever seen a more pointless review in my entire life. Oh god, this one is long. Okay, so they've given it a 9 out of 10, meaning there's a slither of common sense in there somewhere maybe. But then they said that the movie was fun and that it has a good story, so I retract my previous statement. I thought the movie was quite good, a good story, the acting, and the filming. What the fuck? Okay, so this was seeming like just a generic review, like all the others, up until they mentioned the filming. By which I assume they mean like the cinematography. But if you're the type of person that pays attention to that when watching this movie, you almost instantly realise this movie is as boring as it's gonna get with cinematography. The camera is always just a static shot with just a close-up, long shot, medium close-ups. Throughout the entire movie, it's all just the same few things regurgitated over and over again. So I am completely befuddled by the idea that this person mentions the filming, yet somehow doesn't realise that it's dog shit. The beginning of the movie was better than the end. That says a lot. For this kind of comedian movie, it was amazing. Yeah, well, I mean, maybe if you put this movie in the category of movies that only make retards laugh, then maybe it is one of the better ones. There weren't any unnecessary action scenes? What the fuck were you expecting? It's a high school movie. Who watches a high school movie expecting unnecessary action scenes? Alright. Don't hate on me. Okay, I know, I'm going to seem weird for saying this, but this film only really makes sense if you have watched both Casper and JJ before even thinking of watching. It's not too bad overall. Do these people not understand the idea of being an actor? If you have to be familiar with the works of both of the main characters just to enjoy this movie, then it fails as a movie and these people failed as actors. How are you still giving it a 9 out of 10? Oh, for fuck's sake. Alright, here's another one. 9 out of 10 again. Awesome if you know the main characters. The movie has quite some charm, especially for die-hard KSI and Casper Lee fans. Alright, I'm not even gonna finish reading this one out. Oh no, fuck's sake, why? Okay, so I just found the official Twitter account for Laid in America movie. Alright, well now I have to look through some of these tweets. I feel like on Twitter there's even more of an incentive for people to be overly nice about the movie, because I'm assuming the only thing these people really want is a cheeky follow from the official Laid in America Twitter. Oh my god, yeah, see, this is what I was talking about. I finally got to watch Laid in America. What a movie. So funny. Oh my god. The DVD had me in stitches. You did good. Well, it actually says yous did good. Oh, they get worse, for fuck's sake. About to watch Laid in America for the 17th time. I love it so much, it's so funny. I would genuinely lose the will to live if I watched this 18 times. I don't think I've watched any movie 18 times, never mind Laid in America. Really deserves a sequel. I'm sorry, but what would they even do in a sequel? The two main characters are in different countries. At the end of the movie, one main character went to England, and one went to South Africa. Alright, I feel like this is just cyberbullying at this point, so I'm just gonna leave it there. So, if you're still watching, consider subscribing. Leave a like, maybe.